So this is my deal breaker series where I go over some of the more negative things about the tech devices that are coming out. I actually cover about 4 negative things about an upcoming device that some buyers may consider deal breakers. And in this episode, I'm going to be covering the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G. Such a long name. That's not one of the deal breakers though. But this one was such a hard one for me because I'm such a big Note fanatic. I love the Samsung Galaxy Note brand. I've been using it for so long that it was hard pressed for me to find some negative things to say about this phone because it's such a good phone. But if there are negative things to find, I'm the guy to find it. So like an old man trying to return soup at a deli, I got 4 negative things and you're going to hear about it. Let's get started. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra was released on August 21st of 2020, and it was a successor to the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, and it was definitely a successor not only in by name because this thing sported a bunch of upgrades from the camera system to a better screen, to a better screen refresh rate, to a more improved latency on the S Pen itself. It was just an overall improvement from the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, which was a pretty good phone to begin with. Now, when it came to the design of this particular phone, Samsung kind of went crazy and safe at the same time. It's the old business in the front, party in the back kind of mentality. Now, speaking of the back of the phone is where you're coming to that possibly first negative of the phone itself. And I say possibly first negative because I know a lot of these I'm probably going to be nitpicking about, but if you spend a ton of money on a device, trust me, you have the right to nitpick. Now, when it comes to the back of the phone, like I was saying, Samsung went with, shall we say, a bold choice of camera displays because they upgraded the overall quality, components, and size of the camera lenses. You get a pretty big, significantly huge camera hub at the back of this phone. That's next level big. It's ginormous. Now, when it comes to the camera bump on this thing, this is one of those instances where you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Samsung kind of went all in with this aesthetically weird design for the camera bump in the back of this phone. Forget about this thing sitting flat on the desk if you're not using it with a case. If you have it in a case, the case covers up pretty well. But if you don't have a case, it's going to be rocking back and forth. But then again, if you're using it without a case, you're either crazy enough or rich enough not to care if this phone is going to rock on the table or not. But for most people, this aesthetically distracting camera bump on the back of this phone could be a possible deal breaker. Now, there's a lot of new features that come with the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, and one of the biggest, most notable ones is that you now have a higher refresh rate on the screen. It's able to do 120 Hertz, which is kind of a big upgrade over the 60 Hertz that the Note 10 was able to do. And I guess this is one of those situations where an upgrade kind of brings its own issues because in this situation, you're dealing with an either or kind of thing. It's either you get the best quality at the QHD 1440p, but you're only doing 60 Hertz, or you're getting the semi good quality at 1080p with the 120 Hertz high refresh rate. So you can see a situation where someone wants a higher fidelity on the screen but also wants to use a high refresh rate, but they have to kind of switch back and forth between the two, and that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people looking for the best of both worlds. And this is also another added situation where the 120 Hertz brings another complication, shall we say, that the battery life is not going to be that great because of the higher refresh rate on the screen. Screen's actually using more energy, so you actually sap the battery a little bit faster than if your screen was only operating at a 60 Hertz display. So again, if you go to 60 Hertz with a higher display, you're still sucking some battery because the screen is at the highest fidelity. But if you go at 1080p with 120 Hertz, you're still sucking some battery because your screen had a higher refresh rate. Now, speaking of upgrades, which is a perfect segue into our next possible drawback. Weirdly enough, this particular feature is a downgrade from the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, and that is its ability to charge for some weird reason. The Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra supports a 25-watt fast charging wired solution and a 15-watt wireless charging solution, but the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, a phone that came out before this one, as the name indicates, had weirdly a faster charging with 45 watts versus the 25 watts on the newer phone. So theoretically, if you go with the older phone, you're actually charging your phone faster than the newer one, and having something newer that's worse than the older one is always a deal breaker for most people. So I have a question for you. What is the biggest feature of any device that can sync a device and prevent somebody from purchasing it no matter how great the device is? I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. Time's up. If you said price, then you would absolutely be correct. And when it comes to the Note 20 Ultra's price, this thing ain't cheap. It's $1,299. That's $1,300. That's a lot of money to spend on anything. And if you're looking for an affordable, well-priced phone, this probably ain't it. It's definitely a great phone, but it's a great phone that's going to break your pockets. And if you don't have an acceptable trade-in, you're paying basically full price for this device. So it makes it kind of priced out of a lot of people's comfort zone. And if you really look around and you don't use the S Pen, there are a ton of other options that's comparable to the internals that you're getting with this phone that you can kind of sacrifice and trade off and not pay such a hefty price. And like I always like to say, price is definitely a feature of a device. A higher price can lead a lot of people not to purchase a device, just like a great feature can lead a lot of people to buy the device. So price always matters, and this high price tag can be a deal breaker. So let's recap. You have a ginormous camera bump. You have a resolution where you can either choose to have high fidelity or a high refresh rate. You can't have it both ways. You have a slower charging capability than its predecessor, and you also have a hefty price tag for this particular device. Are any of these deal breakers for you? Do you have deal breakers for the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra that I didn't include in this video? Now's your time to go ahead and comment in the comment section down below the video. Let me know what you think of this phone. Let me know what you think of these deal breakers. I know I'm kind of nitpicking here, but this was a great phone, but every phone has some negatives, and these were the 4 negatives for the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Comment down below if you have some more. And also check out some of the other deal breaker videos we have. We have one up on the Pixel 5 and also on the Fitbit Versa 3. I'm going to go ahead and throw that up in the section over here. You can check those out now. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, subscribe. It definitely helps out the channel. And as always, make sure to stay safe out there. And until I see you guys next time, peace out.